During a sold-out concert in 1997, something happened that no one, not even Whitney Houston herself, expected. In the middle of her performance, right after finishing a powerful note, Whitney suddenly stopped singing. She held up her hand, silencing the audience of thousands. Her eyes weren't on the band, or the teleprompter, or any problem with the sound. She was looking at someone in the crowd, a young woman standing near the front row, trembling, tears streaming down her face, singing every lyric with a voice so pure, so striking, that Whitney could hear it over the music. Whitney pointed at her. "You," she said into the microphone. "Come here." The audience gasped. The band froze. Even the security guards didn't know what to do. But Whitney knew exactly what she was doing. What happened next would become one of the most shocking, emotional, and unforgettable moments in live music history. Because the duet they sang together that night became legendary. The venue was electric that night, a massive arena lit with warm gold beams, thousands of fans holding signs, singing, crying, waiting for the moment Whitney Houston would step on stage. Backstage, Whitney was calm, focused, centered. She loved performing, but that night felt different, lighter, almost spiritual. When the intro music started and she walked out to the center of the stage, the roar of the crowd hit her like a wave. She smiled, knowing she was home. She breezed through the first songs effortlessly. "I Wanna Dance with Somebody," "Run to You," "Greatest Love of All." Her voice was flawless, strong, controlled, shimmering. You know those nights when a singer is simply untouchable. This was one of them. But during the quiet intro of "I Have Nothing," Whitney felt a strange pull, something tugging at her attention. She looked toward the left side of the audience and saw her. A young woman, maybe in her early 20s, standing completely still while singing. But she wasn't just singing. She was matching Whitney's phrasing, hitting every run perfectly, harmonizing with impossible accuracy. Whitney blinked, confused. She heard it again. A clear, powerful voice rising above the crowd, blending with her own, like a ghostly second microphone. Whitney glanced at her band. They shook their heads. They could hear it too. Who was she? Whitney stepped closer to the edge of the stage. The woman froze, eyes wide, realizing Whitney Houston was looking directly at her. Whitney raised a hand and the band instinctively muted the sound. The arena fell into absolute silence. "You," Whitney said, pointing at the woman. "Come here, baby." Gasps echoed through the entire crowd. Security looked terrified. The woman looked like she was about to faint. Whitney smiled softly. "It's okay. Come on." Slowly, trembling, the mysterious singer climbed the steps toward the stage. Whitney extended her hand and whispered, "I heard you." The girl covered her mouth, overwhelmed. Whitney turned to the crowd. "Y'all don't mind if we do something special tonight, do you?" The arena erupted. Whitney nodded to the band. "Start from the bridge." And that was the moment everything changed. The band restarted the bridge of "I Have Nothing," and Whitney stepped aside just enough to give the young woman space. "What's your name, sweetheart?" she whispered. Ariana," the girl stuttered, voice shaking. "Well, Ariana, sing with me." The girl's eyes widened in disbelief. Tears streamed down her face. I can't." Whitney touched her cheek gently. "Yes, you can." Then she lifted the microphone between them. The music swelled. Whitney sang the first line, strong, emotional, resonant. Ariana followed with the harmony. The entire arena froze. It was flawless, effortless, eerie, almost. The way her voice blended with Whitney's like two ribbons twisting in midair. Whit's eyebrows lifted. This girl wasn't just good. She was gifted. The audience sensed something extraordinary was happening and fell completely silent. hanging on to every breath. When Whitney reached the high note of the chorus, Ariana instinctively belted the octave above, a risk no amateur would ever attempt, but she nailed it. Whitney stepped back, laughing with disbelief and joy. "Oh, come on!" she shouted. The audience exploded, screaming, crying, losing their minds. Whitney turned to Ariana. "Baby, where did you get a voice like that?" Ariana shook her head, overwhelmed. "My mom used to play your songs. I practiced every day so I could sing like you." Whitney's expression softened. "Like me?" she repeated. "No, baby. You sing like you. And it's beautiful." The band transitioned into the song's final chorus. Whitney held Ariana's hand. "Ready?" she whispered. Ariana nodded. And then, in perfect unison, the two launched into the final note. Whitney held the main note. Ariana soared above with a crystal-clear harmony. The arena shook. People were sobbing. Camera flashes went wild. Even the band members looked stunned. Whitney ended the note with a gentle vibrato and turned to the audience, lifting Ariana's hand into the air. "Y'all remember this face?" she told the crowd. "This girl is going somewhere." Ariana cried openly, overwhelmed by the moment. Whitney hugged her tightly, and the audience roared. Not for a famous superstar, but for two souls sharing the stage, sharing music, sharing a moment that would never happen again, a moment that would become legend. When the concert ended, Whitney walked backstage still holding Ariana's hand. Crew members stared in shock. They had never seen Whitney bring a stranger on stage before. As soon as they reached the dressing room, Whitney sat Ariana down. "Baby," Whitney said softly, "that wasn't luck. That was destiny." Ariana wiped her tears. "I've dreamed of singing with you my whole life. I never thought." Whitney interrupted gently, placing a finger on her lips. "Listen to me. You have something real, something pure. Don't let the world twist it. Don't let anyone tell you what kind of singer you should be." Ariana nodded, still sobbing. Whitney continued. "You sang from your heart tonight. That's why I heard you over thousands of people. That's why I stopped the show. That's why I brought you on stage." Ariana stared at her, stunned. Whitney took her hands. "Promise me something. Anything," Ariana whispered. "Promise me you won't lose who you are when people start noticing you." Ariana nodded fiercely. "I promise." Whitney smiled softly, a smile full of love, pride, and something deeper. "You remind me of me," she whispered. Ariana burst into tears again. There was a knock on the door. Whitney's manager. "Whit, the press is asking about the duet. They want to know who she is." Whitney glanced at Ariana. "They'll know when she's ready," she said. "Not before." The manager nodded and closed the door. Whitney turned back to Ariana. "You go home and keep singing," Whitney said. "And when the time comes, the world will hear you." Ariana whispered, "Thank you for seeing me." Whitney squeezed her hand. "I hear you," she replied. "I always will." Gratitude, fear, joy, disbelief. All of it swirled inside Ariana. And Whitney watched her with the tenderness of a mentor, a sister, and someone who knew exactly what it felt like to be discovered. Later that night, alone in her dressing room, Whitney looked at the empty stage through a small TV monitor replaying the show. She whispered to herself, "Maybe that's why I'm still here, to give moments like that." Because greatness isn't just about singing, it's about passing the torch. Whitney woke up the next day to her phone buzzing non-stop. Missed calls, hundreds de mensajes, notificaciones explodindo. She frowned, confused. A show going well always brought attention, but this was different. "Whitney, turn on the TV," her manager said, breathless. Whitney grabbed the remote. Every major network played the same footage, her and Ariana singing together. The final note, the crowd erupting. Whitney lifting the young woman's hand in the air. The headline read, Whitney Houston discovers a star live on stage. Whitney covered her mouth, stunned. Social media was on fire. She matched Whitney's harmony. This girl is unreal. That duet healed my soul. Whitney still finding new voices. Queen behavior. Thousands of fans were searching. Who is the girl who sang with Whitney? Whitney's eyes softened. She wasn't surprised the moment had gone viral, but she was surprised by how people reacted. No jealousy, no negativity, no comparison, only love, only awe, only gratitude at witnessing something magical. Just then, her manager walked into the room with his phone held out. Ariana posted something. Whitney took the phone and read, Last night, Whitney Houston changed my life. She didn't just hear my voice. She heard my heart. I will never forget it. Whitney felt her eyes fill with tears. At the bottom was a photo. Ariana backstage, hugging Whitney with both arms like a little sister holding on to her hero. Whitney whispered, That girl is something special. The manager nodded. The world thinks so too? Whitney smiled, a soft, reflective smile. The night before wasn't just magic for the audience. It was magic for her. After years of pressure, noise, demands, and shadows, she had finally felt something that fame couldn't manufacture. Purpose. Not just to sing, but to lift, to guide, to ignite another flame. Whitney looked at the photo again, touched it gently, and whispered, Baby, this is just the beginning. Later that afternoon, Whitney slipped away from her team and found an empty dressing room in the venue. The lights were dim, the room quiet. She sat on the floor, knees pulled to her chest, arms wrapped around them, a habit she had since childhood, whenever she needed to feel small enough for God to scoop her up. She closed her eyes. Lord, she whispered. Her voice cracked instantly. You saw what happened last night. You brought that girl to me. I know you did. She wiped a tear. I've asked you so many times why you gave me this voice, why you put so much on my shoulders. And sometimes I think, maybe the answer was never about me. She took a shaky breath. Maybe the answer was about moments like this, about helping others, about giving someone else a chance, about reminding me of the beauty in what you gave me. Silence filled the room, but not an empty silence, a comforting one, a warm one. Whitney continued. I've made mistakes, I've struggled, I've fallen, but somehow you keep finding ways to use me, to let me be a blessing even when I don't feel like one. She pressed her forehead to her knees, and last night, for the first time in a long time, I felt like I still mattered. Her voice softened. I felt chosen again. Another tear fell. Thank you for sending her to me. That girl renewed something in my spirit. She reminded me of who I used to be, who I still am. She placed a hand on her heart. And I promise you, I'll help her. I'll guide her. I'll use whatever time, whatever strength I have left to lift others the way you lifted me. Whitney exhaled, long and trembling. Use me, Lord, use my voice or use my heart, either one, I'm yours. She stood slowly, wiped her face, looked at herself in the mirror, and whispered, You still have work to do, Whitney. And for the first time in years, she believed it. A week later, Whitney invited Ariana to her private rehearsal studio. A quiet, intimate space with wooden floors, warm lighting, and old gospel posters on the wall. Ariana walked in nervously, clutching a notebook. Whitney? Whitney opened her arms, pulling her into a hug. Oh, baby, I'm so glad you came. They sat together on a small couch near the piano. Ariana took a deep breath. I don't know why this is happening, she whispered. Everything feels unreal. Whitney smiled. That's because it is unreal. Moments like these don't happen every day. But when they do, you hold on to them. Ariana nodded, tears forming. I want to make you proud. You already did. Whitney said gently. But I'm going to tell you something important. She leaned forward, her voice soft but firm. Talent will get you noticed, but heart will keep you standing. Ariana swallowed hard. Do you think I can really make it? She asked. Whitney didn't answer right away. She stood, walked to the piano and played the soft chords of I Have Nothing. Come here, she said. Ariana stood beside her. Whitney looked into her eyes and said the words that would stay with her forever. You don't need to be another Whitney. You need to be the first you. Ariana broke into tears. Whitney pulled her into a hug, rocking her gently like a mother comforting a child. Then Whitney whispered, I brought you here for a reason. Because I see something in you that the world needs, and I want you to promise me one thing. Ariana nodded, crying. Promise you'll never let this world change your heart. Your voice is a gift, but your spirit is the blessing. Ariana whispered, I promise. Whitney smiled, wiping her tears. That's all I needed to hear. They sang together for nearly an hour, harmonies weaving through the room like a prayer, like two souls meeting in the middle of something sacred. When Ariana left that day, she knew her life would never be the same. Whitney watched her go, standing at the door of the studio, hands clasped. A soft smile touched her lips. She's going to be something special, she whispered. And deep down, Whitney felt something she hadn't felt in a long time. Hope. 2 months after the legendary duet, Ariana sat in her small bedroom, the same place where she used to practice Whitney's songs for hours every night. Everything had changed. And yet this room, these 4 walls, reminded her of who she was before fame whispered her name. She opened her notebook, the one she carried everywhere, and flipped to a blank page. Her hands trembled as she began writing. Dear Whitney, she paused, already fighting tears. I don't know if I'll ever be brave enough to send this. Maybe you'll never read it, but I need to write it anyway. She exhaled shakily, remembering the moment Whitney heard her voice in the crowd, a moment that still didn't feel real. You don't know what you did for me that night. You didn't just pull me on stage. You pulled me out of a place I thought I'd never escape. A tear fell onto the paper. For years, people told me my dreams were too big for someone like me, that I wasn't special, that I wasn't enough. But you listened. You heard something in me I didn't even know was there. Ariana swallowed hard as she wrote, You gave me permission to be myself. Her mind drifted to the private rehearsal studio, to the warmth in Whitney's eyes as she said, You don't need to be another Whitney. You need to be the first you. Those words had reshaped her soul. You taught me something no singing lesson, no teacher, no school ever could. You taught me that music isn't just about technique, it's about truth, about spirit, about giving people a piece of your heart. She wiped her eyes, but the tears kept coming. And you gave me yours. Ariana hesitated, then wrote the hardest sentence of all. I don't know where life will take me or if I'll ever stand on a stage as big as yours. But if I ever do, I'll carry your voice with me. Not the one the world hears, the one you gave me privately. The voice that said, You are enough. Her breath trembled as she finished the letter. Thank you for choosing me. Thank you for seeing me. Thank you for giving me a moment that will guide me for the rest of my life. She closed the notebook softly. Ariana never sent the letter. Not because she didn't want to, but because she realized something. Whitney already knew. She had seen the gratitude in Ariana's eyes, felt it in the way she held her hands, heard it on every note they sang together. Whitney didn't need the words written on paper. She had felt them in Ariana's voice, and Ariana promised herself that someday the world would feel them too. She placed the notebook in a drawer, wiped her tears, and whispered, I'll make you proud. And somewhere, in memory, in spirit, in echoes of music, Whitney smiled.